Good evening and welcome to this special in-depth examination of the British royal family's latest controversy and the increasingly stark contrast between two couples who have chosen dramatically different paths. Tonight, we explore how the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have found peace, purpose, and genuine freedom in California, while the Prince and Princess of Wales remain trapped in an institution that keeps generating scandals they cannot control and associations they cannot escape. The Valentine's weekend of 2026 provided a perfect snapshot of this contrast, and we will examine it from every angle. There are moments in royal history when the contrast between parallel lives becomes so stark that even the most devoted monarchists have to look away. The Valentine's weekend of 2026 was such a moment. In Los Angeles, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex attended the NBA All-Star Game. They smiled, they waved. They looked like two people who had discovered the secret that the rest of the royal family still can't fathom. Happiness is a choice. And they made it. In London, the Prince and Princess of Wales watched another scandal engulf one of their patronages, another association with tainted figures emerge from the archives, another reminder that proximity to the crown means proximity to contamination. There is a particular beauty in watching two people who were told they would fail absolutely soar on their own terms. The Valentine's weekend found Harry and Meghan exactly where they should have been all along, living authentically, loving publicly, and thriving in the sunshine they chose over the shadows they inherited. While 5,000 miles away in rainy Britain, another royal drama was unfolding, the Sussexes were courtside, reminding the world that happiness is possible when you have the courage to choose it. Think back to 2020, when the Sussexes announced their intention to step back as senior royals. The commentary was vicious. They were called lazy, entitled, delusional. They were told they would fail. They were warned that the world would chew them up and spit them out without the protection of the palace walls. 6 years later, they're courtside at the All-Star Game, looking more relaxed and genuine than any working royal has looked in decades. The Valentine's weekend appearance was notable precisely for what it wasn't. It wasn't a carefully orchestrated photo opportunity designed to counter negative press. It wasn't a desperate grab for relevance. It wasn't accompanied by anonymous palace sources briefing against them. It was simply two people enjoying a basketball game, comfortable in their own skin, secure in their own choices, and utterly unconcerned with what anyone thought about it. This is what peace looks like. This is what freedom looks like. This is what happens when you finally stop living for an institution and start living for yourself. There is a particular cruelty in the way the British press has covered Harry and Meghan over the years, but there is also a particular gift that the couple has given themselves. They have made themselves increasingly irrelevant to the daily dramas of the monarchy, and in doing so, they have made themselves immune to its endless scandals. Consider what was happening in Britain over that same Valentine's weekend. Nicole Junkermann, a German countess and trustee of the Royal Marsden Cancer Charity, the very charity that supports the hospital where Kate Middleton was treated for cancer, had resigned following the emergence of her decades-long friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. Emails had surfaced. Baby and Mr. Wonderful were in the headlines. The Prince and Princess of Wales, who had only recently become patrons of the charity, found themselves once again associated with someone else's poor judgment, someone else's unfortunate connections, someone else's moral failures. This is not to criticize William and Kate. They did nothing wrong. They never appointed Junkerman. They never vetted her. They had no way of knowing that a trustee of a charity they support had been exchanging affectionate emails with one of history's most notorious predators. But that's precisely the point. In the monarchy, you're judged by associations you never made, connections you never approved, and choices you never controlled. The institution's gravitational pull is so strong that anyone within its orbit becomes contaminated by whoever else happens to be orbiting nearby. You cannot choose your company because the company is chosen for you by accidents of history, by appointments made decades ago, by relationships formed long before you arrived. Harry and Meghan have escaped this gravity. When a scandal breaks in Britain now, it does not touch them. When a charity trustee turns out to have embarrassing email correspondence, it does not reflect on them. When the monarchy stumbles, as it so often does, the Sussexes are not dragged down with it. They are 5,000 miles away, living their lives, building their legacy, and watching the drama unfold from a distance that must feel increasingly like freedom. This is not selfishness, this is self-preservation, and it is one of the smartest moves any member of the royal family has made in generations. It takes enormous courage to walk away from the only life you've ever known. It takes even more courage to do it while the whole world is watching, and most of them are jeering. Harry and Meghan had every reason to stay. They had titles, status, security, and the implicit promise of a lifetime of comfortable, meaningless work. They could have spent decades cutting ribbons, shaking hands, and collecting paychecks from the sovereign grant, while the tabloids occasionally criticized Meghan's wardrobe choices. It would have been easy. It would have been safe. It would have been soul-crushing. Instead, they chose hard. They chose to leave behind everything familiar and build something new from scratch. They chose to face the inevitable backlash, the accusations of betrayal, the endless commentary from people who had never met them but somehow felt qualified to judge them. They chose to bet on themselves when the entire world was betting against them, and they won. The Valentine's weekend was proof of that victory. While the British press was working itself into a frenzy over a German countess's unfortunate emails, the Sussexes were simply living. They attended a basketball game. They smiled for cameras. They went home. There was no drama. There was no scandal. There was no urgent need to issue statements or manage a crisis. There was just life. Ordinary and beautiful and completely under their control. This is what courage looks like when it pays off. This is what happens when you refuse to accept that your destiny is determined by your birth. This is what Harry and Meghan have been building since the day they left, and it is magnificent to witness. It would be a mistake to view the Sussexes' post-royal life as mere self-indulgence or celebrity chasing. Behind the courtside appearances and the Netflix deals lies a serious and sustained commitment to the values they have always championed. The Archewell Foundation, named for the Greek word arche, meaning source of action, has quietly become one of the more interesting philanthropic ventures in the celebrity space. Its work spans multiple continents and causes: mental health support, digital safety for children, support for veterans and military families, and perhaps most notably, the Responsible Technology Youth Power Fund, which invests in young leaders working to make the internet safer and more equitable. This is not the work of people chasing headlines. This is the work of people who understand their platform comes with responsibility and who are determined to use it meaningfully. Meghan's advocacy for paid parental leave, her work with the Hub Community Kitchen, which she continued even after leaving the UK, and her ongoing support for girls' education through various partnerships all speak to a genuine commitment to making the world better, not just making themselves more famous. Harry's work with Invictus Games has only deepened since the move to California. The games continue to grow, continue to inspire, continue to demonstrate that Harry's connection to the military community is authentic and enduring. His mental health advocacy, born partly from his own therapeutic journey, has helped normalize conversations about emotional well-being in communities that desperately need it. The Valentine's weekend appearance was not an escape from this work, but a complement to it. Public visibility supports private mission. The Sussexes understand that influence requires presence, that you cannot do good in the world if you have disappeared from it entirely. They have found a balance that eludes most public figures. They are visible enough to matter, but private enough to survive. Perhaps the most impressive aspect of the Sussexes' California life is what we don't see: their children. Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor and Lilibet Diana Mountbatten Windsor are growing up in a world that their parents could only have dreamed of. They have sunshine, space, and security. They have parents who are present, engaged, and apparently happy. They have the freedom to be children rather than props in a centuries-old pageant. This is the gift that Harry and Meghan have given their children, and it is worth more than any title or inheritance could ever provide. Consider the alternative. If the Sussexes had stayed in the UK, Archie and Lilibet would have been born into the same fishbowl that consumed their father. They would have been photographed without consent, written about without accuracy, and judged without mercy. They would have been expected to perform royalty from infancy, to wave and smile and never complain, to accept that their lives belonged to the institution rather than to themselves. Instead, they get to be kids. They get to go to school without paparazzi camped outside. They get to play in parks without photographers in the bushes. They get to grow up knowing that their parents chose them over everything else. Now, let us turn our attention to the other side of the Atlantic, where the Prince and Princess of Wales continue to demonstrate why Harry and Meghan's escape was not just wise, but necessary. The Junkerman affair that broke over the Valentine's weekend exposes everything wrong with how William and Kate approach their roles. For years, the narrative around William and Kate has been that they represent stability and duty. They are the safe pair of hands who will guide the monarchy through troubled waters. The Junkerman affair exposes this as wishful thinking. William has been president of the Royal Marsden Hospital since 2007, 19 years, nearly 2 decades of association with an institution that couldn't be bothered to vet its trustees thoroughly enough to avoid Epstein-linked figures serving on its board. Where was the scrutiny? Where was the due diligence? The answer? There wasn't any. William shows up for photo opportunities. William cuts ribbons. William does not ask questions about who serves on charity boards bearing his name. This is not duty. This is performance. Let's talk specifically about Catherine. Her cancer diagnosis was genuinely difficult, and the sympathy she received was deserved. But what has happened since is something else entirely. Kate has wrapped herself in the Royal Marsden like a security blanket. Her January 2025 visit to the hospital was masterfully staged. The message was clear. Kate had suffered, survived, and would now dedicate herself to helping others. It was beautiful. It was also built on foundations that were already cracking. While Kate was posing with patients, Nicole Junkermann was serving as a trustee. While Kate was building her post-cancer identity around the Marsden, Junkermann was sitting in meetings, shaping the organization Kate was using to rebrand herself. And now we know Junkermann exchanged hundreds of emails with Jeffrey Epstein, calling him baby and Mr. Wonderful. This is the company Kate kept. Not directly, but the Marsden kept Junkermann, and Kate kept the Marsden. Where was Kate's vetting? Where was her team's scrutiny? There was none. The monarchy doesn't do due diligence. It does appearances. The monarchy's Epstein problem runs deep. Prince Andrew's friendship with Epstein is the most famous connection, but the web extends further. Epstein cultivated the powerful, including royals, aristocrats, and charity trustees. Every board, every social circle contains potential Epstein links waiting to be exposed. The Junkerman story is just the latest. It won't be the last, and William and Kate will absorb the fallout from each revelation. They will be judged by connections they didn't create, stained by proximity to people they've never met. The usual defense is that William and Kate couldn't possibly vet every trustee of every charity. This defense is both true and damning. If they cannot ensure charities bearing their names are free of Epstein-linked figures, what exactly are they doing? If they accept public relations benefits without oversight responsibility, they are not performing duty. They are performing entitlement. The monarchy exists to provide moral leadership. How can it when it can't ensure its own charities aren't run by women who called Epstein Mr. Wonderful? It can't. The Junkerman affair proves it. Harry and Meghan saw this coming. They saw the monarchy was a trap, They saw proximity meant exposure to scandals. They saw you cannot control who associates with you in a centuries-old network of aristocratic connections. They saw the only way to protect your family was to leave. And they were right. Every new scandal engulfing William and Kate validates their decision. Harry grew up in that world. He watched his mother be destroyed by it. He watched his brother become consumed by it. He chose to break the cycle. Now, as scandal breaks over William and Kate, Harry is at a basketball game in California, free from contamination. That is wisdom. The Royal Marsden charity deserves scrutiny. Junkerman was a trustee with oversight responsibilities, yet a woman with a 20-year Epstein friendship served for years without anyone noticing. When did she become a trustee? Who appointed her? What vetting occurred? The Marsden answers none of this. Instead, we get statements about resignation, language suggesting the system worked. But the system failed. It allowed an Epstein associate to serve for years, acting only when the press exposed her. William and Kate, as patrons, are complicit. Their names lent credibility to an unworthy organization. Their association provided cover for a board that couldn't examine its own members. This is what royal patronage does, provides a shield for institutional failures. The media's role in protecting William and Kate cannot be ignored. If this story involved Harry and Meghan, coverage would be apocalyptic. Headlines would scream about their judgment, anonymous palace sources would brief endlessly. Instead, coverage is restrained. William and Kate are mentioned as patrons, but not implicated. The focus is on Junkerman, not the system that allowed her service. This is the media protection racket. The British press has decided William and Kate are the future and must be protected. Stories that would destroy Harry and Meghan are softened for the Waleses. Questions asked relentlessly of Sussexes are whispered about the Waleses. The Junkerman affair should be a major scandal for William. 19 years as president, and an Epstein associate served on the charity board without his knowledge. Where are the headlines demanding answers? Nowhere, because William is protected. What do William and Kate actually do? William's role as president involves what? Does he attend board meetings? Review trustee appointments? Provide oversight? The evidence suggests no. He lends his name, collects goodwill, moves to the next photo opportunity. Kate's role is worse. She wrapped herself in the Marsden after her diagnosis, using its credibility to enhance her image. Did she ask who ran the charity? Did she inquire about trustee backgrounds? No. Kate accepted benefits without responsibilities. This is not royal service. This is royal branding. They are not serving institutions. They are using them. While William and Kate lent names to an unvetted organization, Harry and Meghan built something different. Arkwell doesn't operate on the patronage model. It doesn't accept board members without understanding backgrounds. It has staff doing actual vetting, processes ensuring oversight. When controversies arise, Harry and Meghan address them directly. They don't hide behind palace walls or rely on media protection. They face the music. This is accountability. The contrast is stark. One couple does actual work, the other lends names and hopes for the best. William and Kate are trapped. They cannot leave the institution generating these scandals. They cannot escape associations emerging from archives. They are prisoners of a system that uses them when convenient and sacrifices them when necessary. Harry and Meghan are free. They built lives outside the institution, beyond its reach. They created families that will never know the royal fishbowl. They found peace no palace could provide. The Valentine's weekend proved this. While William and Kate dealt with another scandal, another association, another reminder that proximity to the crown means exposure to poison, Harry and Meghan were just living. They attended a basketball game, they smiled, they went home, no drama, no crisis. This is victory. This is what happens when you have the courage to walk away from something killing you. The Junkerman affair will fade. New revelations will emerge. New crises will demand management. William and Kate will continue absorbing fallout, relying on media protection, lending names to unvetted institutions. Harry and Meghan will continue living in California, attending basketball games, raising children, building legacy, and watching from a distance as the institution they left demonstrate why leaving was right. The contrast is clear. One couple chose duty to a failing institution, one chose duty to themselves and their family. We know which produced peace. The Montecito victory is complete. The Sussexes have won. Every new scandal engulfing William and Kate proves it.